All right, I'm just gonna do a little intro because I'm preemptively beginning our podcast. Uh, so,
Okay. Are we gonna go ahead?
for anyone, and by anyone I mean no one, who watched the end of our last podcast, and by watched I mean listen, you would know Final Fantasy VII was the game for November for us to beat, or the remake, I should say. And to kick things off, we're gonna watch uh, Cloud fight Sephiroth in Advent Children because Peter has been nagging me incessantly to watch this
Yeah,
movie.
we are.
And Sephiroth was
My
just
12-year-old dream come alive.
Sephiroth was such a big part of this game that I feel like we really have to watch this battle. So
This is what I hoped Final Fantasy was going to be, and in some ways what I got.
yeah, we'll see about that.
And I just need you to understand that before we proceed with talking about the movie.
Can you mute
How do you
your?
want to do this? Do you want to time ourselves at the beginning?
Yeah, I. Do you have headphones
Oh,
in?
mute my.
Do you have headphones in? I just want to make sure
Yeah, I
that
do.
I don't get the audio for the
Am I
movie
too loud?
twice.
Can you mute it?
No, you're fine. No, if you have headphones in, then I don't need you to mute
Oh yes,
anything.
I'm wearing a headset. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Well,
Can you before you start? Am I like breathing? Can you hear my breathing obnoxiously or anything through the headset?
I don't think so. It seems pretty
Okay, cool.
normal to
Someone
me.
said that they could do it. Cool.
Well,
All right. How do you want to do this? Do you want to stream it while we watch it, or do you want to time it to start at the same time?
oh, that's a good
I
question.
think you would have to answer
Let
the question.
let's just try and time it at the same time by clicking play at
That
two
sounds good.
at 2:09 Central Time because there's a little bit of audio
Oh,
delay.
uh, oh, okay. Is there a? I'm gonna open like a clock or something.
Uh,
Ah, excellent.
I'm
I've
just
got
watching the
the
clock.
second counter ticking up ever upwards.
I know. This is the content people crave.
You should get excited for this video
I'm
clip,
confused
bro.
because I
It's
see like a little monkey with
oh,
Sonic
Son
hair.
Goku. It's Goku, bro.
That is literally Goku. Okay.
It's Dragon Ball Goku where he floats around. I've never read it, but apparently OG Dragon Ball, like not Dragon Ball Z, is really really good.
Hmm. I mean, I watched a lot of Dragon Ball Z and it was very good.
All right, we got 8 seconds. Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. All right, here we go.
I'm gonna talk.
I'll go full screen this.
My reunion.
Wow, Sephiroth looks sexier than normal.
Dying to watch.
This is not Sephiroth. This is a disciple of Sephiroth who's related to him.
Interesting. All right, I need to turn this down a little bit.
Special guest. You guys doing your podcast?
Oh God, it's Steven.
Yes, sir. Welcome, Steven. I'll send you the link. Steven, watch this link.
We're watching Advent Children.
Man, I'm really enjoying.
I hope we're watching
Yeah.
Advent Children.
Yeah.
This is the most important part of the whole movie.
So far, this feels pretty similar to the game. I'm not gonna lie. As far as their interactions go.
This is Sephiroth's theme. It's really important, by the way.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you want?
Take note of Cloud's sword.
Yeah, that did not look
It's
like my
different.
sword.
It's different than the one you're used to. Also, take note of his amazing different outfit. His Advent Children, available in Smash Ultimate.
I miss his 3 metal posts coming out of his shoulder.
I also love Sephiroth's voice actor in this movie. I like the one in the game. We'll talk about all that, but this guy's voice is just great for this.
Sephiroth's powers unclear. As a shiny sword.
What about this planet?
Oh
A lot of them are
God,
pretty.
Fox's voice actor not great.
Fox, you mean Cloud's voice actor?
What? Yeah, sorry, Fox McCloud,
I actually,
aka Cloud.
I liked Cloud's voice actor in the game more than this movie.
Oh, completely agree. That's what I'm saying. Where's my girl Aerith?
This movie's from, I think 2005.
Well, honestly, the graphics are like
It's
about
good,
as
right?
good
It's,
as the game.
I was trying to remember while we were playing. Here we go. The whole reason for this movie to exist is good fight scenes and almost no other possible reason.
It's like Yoda fighting Count Dooku.
It is a lot like that. Vibes. Steven, are you watching? We're at 2:45. If you're trying to line our special guest.
Yeah, right.
Where did you find this strength?
About to tell you.
Classic anime villain lines. Look out for this Oscar-winning writing.
Is there any explanation as to why Cloud can jump so far?
Bro, there never was. This is what it's supposed to be, I'm saying. This is what they never explain it, and everyone can just do all this amazing shit. And then it didn't happen in the game we played, and I was like, where is the aerospace?
Yeah, that's why the last chapter was so cool. It was basically
Yes,
this.
the last chapter was a little bit of this.
Is he just flying? Unclear.
I think the idea is that they're jumping so hard that they can control wherever they go.
That's pretty cool. Sephiroth doesn't need to stand on his sword because he is gravity.
I think Sephiroth's sword is canonically like 7 feet or something like that.
Oh, a second sword.
That's right.
I got another fucking sword.
Cloud is the definition of I got another fucking sword.
Oh.
I'll put down my weapon.
That's pretty sweet. Is this in Midgar? Where are we? Peter.
It's in Midgar. It's in just another sector that they the expendable sectors of which
yeah.
they destroy the entire thing. Like,
Obliterating.
every time they play again. Haha, the punch. No one's ever ready.
Is 7 the first one Sephiroth was in?
Yes. All of the Final Fantasy games are like distinctly their own games. Like they restart every time. Sometimes they do offshoots. Like
Is Cloud not in other ones?
He is, but just because he was so popular in this was his first game.
Oh, interesting. Ow. Holy shit.
Is this the pain you felt before, Cloud?
Oh my
Yeah, that looked
goodness.
like 7-foot long sword.
Yeah, it's like Mario.
Approximating the distance. Yeah, there's your Mario reference. If you even
He's just
how
gonna
Sephiroth
fucking
can fly with one
Oh my
wing,
god.
then you don't understand.
Is he just gonna like
Yeah, notice all the blood that they omit from the remake. I have a whole fucking diatribe about that.
How is Cloud alive? He took he took 5 straight to the chest. Jesus.
Yeah, pretty messed up.
Give me the pleasure of taking it away.
Oh, that was Aerith, right? I think the first
Yeah, in
flash was
But
Aerith.
they didn't. Yes, I think it was, and I think I saw Marlene too.
Nice of them to show the best character in the game.
More. I wish they had talked more about Zack, who was in it for like a hot second, but
Yeah, I have many thoughts on the story, so we'll get there.
I guess he just like wasn't in the game at all.
He's like, you being a little bitch because you got stabbed 6 times? Use me to inspire you.
He's got a protractor as well, which is helpful.
He looks like Sonic turned into a character.
Zach?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does look like Sonic.
Gotta go fast.
That's right.
That makes Cloud Tails, I guess.
watch closely.
I pity you. You just don't get it at all. There's not a thing I don't cherish.
I cherish everything. Oh my. What? This is like some fourth Hokage shit. Alright, that was cooler than anything in the game.
That was the coolest thing 12-year-old me had ever seen. Now listen.
In my memories.
I will never be a memory.
Always turning into a bird and shit.
That's the end. We have finished watching Cloud
Yo,
versus
that was a
Sephiroth full fight 4K 60.
That was a sick final move.
Yes. UHD. It was sick.
I don't even know where to
blown away.
go from
You
there.
just
like-
watched the part where I don't remember what it's called. There's a whole fucking Wikipedia article on Cloud's sword that he used that move. The 12-part combina sword, as I like to call it.
Oh my god.
Anyway, it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen, and I was expecting that level of quality when we played Final Fantasy VII.
Well, you never played. Neither of us have ever played the original. Obviously,
Yes.
the original was not like that. I watched some gameplay of it because I was curious, and because someone was doing a speed run on Games Done Quick on Twitch recently, and so you would have been disappointed if you played the original after watching this. It seems like.
Yeah, you're right. I think that when Advent Children came out, people were reacting strangely to it because it was so like anime and different from the original, which was just like Cloud or whoever moves forward an inch and it bashes the enemy, and that's that 1995 graphics for you.
It was cooler than I thought. It looked like encounters were more like Pokemon-esque.
Back in the day, yeah.
Oh, in the original, yeah. As in,
Like,
you
look
would
up
like
some
run into
screenshots.
random mobs rather than having them actually hanging out in an area.
Yes, it was like you get jumped by random kind of encounters.
Oh, you broke up a
Encounters,
little
and I-
bit.
Feel strange talking about it in a way. I was just saying it's like it is like Pokemon, like random encounters just jump you kind of as you walk around. And I feel weird, I just realized, talking about it like this, because it's so weird to not really understand how combat of the original differed from this remake and how much they changed. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking about it from an understanding that comes from the remake. So if I ever talk to somebody about who played Final Fantasy VII Original and loves it, and I'll be like, oh yeah, like, it was so annoying when my ATV bar wouldn't fill up enough or whatever. And they're like, what? What is that?
Yeah, the weird thing is, from like everything I've read, the biggest two changes are story related and gameplay or combat related, of course, because they took it from turn based to like real time with pausing. And people, I think when I say people, I mean people who played the original seem to be impressed with what they did, and
Yes.
I was left sorely unimpressed. But we'll get to that. What of our 5 categories do you want to start with? Should we just jump straight into story
Overall.
after
No, just kidding.
overall story after watching Advent Children?
Let's go in order. Let's go with story.
All right.
These are such different categories for this game. You know what I mean? All of these 4, I have a totally different.
Yeah. No, there's definitely highs and lows for us in this game.
Let's look up a summary of Final Fantasy VII Remake's story. Okay, well, I think the biggest point is that it's not the whole story, right? It's the first third of the story,
Right. As far as I understand it, the
which
game
makes me mad. How do you feel about it?
yeah, as far as I understand it, the original, like, the section in Midgar is almost like the prologue. And once you get out of there, it really opens up and becomes a story about Cloud and Sephiroth. And I believe they're planning to make more chapters for the remake, or at least one more chapter, which makes me even more bewildered as to why they forced the ending of the game in the way that they did. And
Mm-hmm.
it all like felt mostly cohesive until the final third of the game, I guess.
But
Like
you didn't like the last story
I didn't like
as much.
what?
You didn't like the last third of the story.
Well, I think it made no sense in the context of this game. Like,
I see.
so for the first 2/3 of the game, we're operating as like eco terrorists trying to stop the harvesting of the planet, and
Walmart.
then yeah, Walmart. But then once the assault on the shit, what's the name of the
I don't even remember what it was. They were assault. Was it another reactor? I
the
can't
plate?
remember.
The plate. Well, no,
They were trying to stop the plate from falling.
well they so we were going to blow up another reactor. Cloud gets separated from the group. We meet Aerith. We go through her whole section.
Mm-hmm.
We eventually come back. We see Tifa going to Walmart. We do that whole section. Then we do the ghost part. Then we find the plates being attacked by Reno and friends. And from that point forward, it was like I feel like the game couldn't make up its mind as to whether it wanted to be about Barrett's goals or whether or not it was gonna try and ham fist Sephiroth in as the baddie for some reason, even though we
And
know.
they went in on Sephiroth, didn't they?
Well, they decided that even though they, as far as I know, they're planning to make another game. They're like, we better kind of wrap up this Sephiroth segment without having given you any information at
We
all.
put him in a whole bunch, and now people are gonna be like, "Who's
No,
this guy?"
not even a whole bunch. We saw him maybe 3 times.
I say a whole bunch because I think he was in 0 before this point, story-wise, in the
Yeah.
original. So any inclusion of Sephiroth is like, breaking the story or whatever. But he's Sephiroth. He's like one of the most famous villains of all time, and I think they wanted to,
All
sell
right.
the game, and they wanted.
So here's my question for you: what is Sephiroth's motive? What is he doing in this game?
In this game.
In
or
this
how's-
game, based
No
on
idea.
only what you
He's
know from this
terrorizing
game,
Cloud.
But-
He and Cloud have a history, aesthetic. quotes.
presumably, right?
Cloud has PTSD. We don't know. Like, there's so much that we do. It is not made clear, but he's scared of Sephiroth. And I'm trying to think if there are any direct lines Sephiroth says that suggest what went
No,
down. There was
it's
something
all
with
like-
Tifa. Like, we have a flashback of Sephiroth and Tifa and Cloud in parts. And that's all I know.
Like,
Who do-
I have no idea how we got from, yeah, we have some sort of background to now we're in this like demon world for some reason. We went into a portal. Sephiroth's here.
Oh, the demon world. I have no idea what was with the demon world.
I just don't like. What was he trying to
and
do? What was
I
he
feel
trying to
bad because
destroy the
I
world?
totally have an answer. I totally have an answer for your question outside of this game. Like,
Oh yeah, you have to ignore that because
I know.
I don't think
know.
this game should be able to skirt by on the lore and story of the original. It makes like if they were gonna do that, they would have handled it
totally
better.
do. They totally do too. And I got you. You're saying that you don't like the last third of the game, and I agree with the reasons that you don't. But I liked it more because it was finally starting to plug into the reasons for a second of why Sephiroth is here, and Jenova and stuff, who we saw appear for 2 seconds at the last, and then the game ended, and I was like,
Jenova is the Shinra's son.
Jenova was the floating thing in the tank, the like weird tentacled.
What is that? What is that? I assumed it was like Aerith's mom, and they just never mentioned it again.
You will learn for $60 more.
I just have the entire last third. They were just like, we're gonna introduce so many fucking things, and you're not gonna know why for any of like Red. Here's this dog that talks, and he's your best friend now, and you're gonna love using him to make bridges. And I'm just like, why? Why did they need to?
I do think this game suffered from just I don't know the way they broke it up. Like I imagine that's where Red 13 just comes into the story naturally, and that's about where they were running out of time for a full game. So they're like, here you go, bridge dog. But it was weird, right? Like he didn't. He had a cool voice, and I liked him, but you couldn't use him in combat, and
I didn't
everyone
understand.
was really attached to him very quickly. Like Cloud's like, "Oh my God, is Red 13 okay?" And we're like, "Cloud, you have not hugged anyone on purpose the entire game, and now you're fucking all about Red 13 this dog."
Well, plus they like Shinra died. What I forget his first name, and his son's there. And now all of a sudden he's like this big bad that we need to fight. And
His son, Rufus Shinra,
who
who I
was
had no,
cool.
I don't know actually who that was. I've never
He
seen
was
him
fucking
play.
cool, and they're like, we're gonna introduce this new big bad in the final eighth of the game, and
Yeah,
you win, and now he's gonna go talk menacingly, and you will never hear from him again.
and then you end up like whooping his ass too. So he shows up, gets beat,
I don't know that
grabs
I
a
whooped his
helicopter that
ass.
flies up from below him with his hand, and then flies away. Does anyone remember that part? He just grabs a helicopter with his hand and flies away. Not even a rope or a ladder,
Yeah,
which is
fucking
already dubious.
Captain America over here.
Yeah.
I just
And that was like 10 minutes that he was in the game.
the game felt cohesive to me. Like I understood what I was doing and why until the plate fell, and we were like, time to go to Shinra's. I mean, even up until we went to Shinra's HQ because we were going to get revenge for dropping the plate. Like I was all good there until Shoujo's lab, right? And
Oh
then
my
they were
God.
like, here, time to introduce a bunch of things that like have nothing to do with what's been going on, and we're trying to make it some bigger picture. But the game felt like pretty tight and condensed up to that point, and it just completely lost me. And it probably wasn't helped by the fact that the lab section was my least favorite part of the game by far. But
I'm making a face when you said the game was tight and condensed before that point.
it was. We were like, I mean, story wise, it made sense, right? Like, we destroyed a reactor, and now we're going to destroy another one, and we're going to do preparations for that because we don't want Shinra to harvest all of the Earth's. Shit, what's the name of the resource that they love
The
so much?
Mako.
The Mako.
The
Yeah.
Mako from the live stream.
That
I
all.
think I agree with you on plot. I think the plot
Yeah,
is
that's
at
all I'm
points where
talking
it
about.
needs to
That's
be.
all we're talking about right now.
But the story is not just the plot. The story breaks down to the plot and the I don't know what the word is. The writing, I call it the story. Like what gets you from plot point to plot point.
Sure.
And I think it took forever. I don't know if this
Oh,
is
it
like a
was
place
it
to
was
put.
fucking slow.
This is the slowest paced game I've maybe ever played in my life, and it is my biggest criticism of the game. And I don't know if it falls into story or gameplay in how you kind of traverse around. So I'm just kind of saying it now without falling into the right categories. But every turn, like the amount of side quests and the kind of the way they spoke to each other every time a character like you choose them to address another, they do a little animation where they turn to face you, and it takes like 5 seconds, and then they
Breaking that
begin to
fourth
speak,
wall.
and then they do another turn, and it's just agonizing how long it takes all this stuff.
Well, it almost felt like the first 2/3 of the movie were like a superhero's introductory movie, like Spider-Man Homecoming, and then the last third is like fucking Avengers Endgame, and it just doesn't work at all. You're right. It's really
Different
slow.
mood.
It's kind of like a little uh, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and then at the end, we're like in space fighting Sephiroth and gigantic soul monsters that make no. It just
I had
makes no sense.
blacked out the giant soul monsters until a second ago. They're definitely, well, I don't want to say definitely. I'm pretty sure they weren't in the original. They definitely seem like something that was added to give.
I thought
weird
that was
gravity to.
cool. I enjoyed playing that segment. It makes no sense in the context of what we were doing.
I don't think I even enjoyed playing. Okay, so disclaimer: I was trying to crank this fucking last 5 hours or whatever out,
Yeah,
and I was
you don't
drunk
have
at
to
the
give me
same
a
time.
disclaimer. I'm well aware that parts
I
of
was
this
also-
game are probably a blur for you.
I was low on sleep as well and distracted. But I remember fighting the floating Power Rangers or whatever from Zendikar, and I was trying. I couldn't tell what was killing them. I was just beating the crap out of them. Okay, I have another confession actually.
Oh no.
I turned the game down to easy to get
Oh
through
yeah,
it faster.
you
At
told
this
me
point.
this. You told me this.
At like 25 or 35 or whatever hours, I was like, I gotta get through this game, and it's just I'm getting into gameplay now. I'll remind me to come back to this. I'll put a pin in it. I have a story question for you.
All
Do
right.
you want to know the rest of what happens? I don't mean right now. I mean just in general. Do you have curiosity about how the rest of the story goes?
Well, all right. I have to answer your question with a question. Did this game like end with a cliffhanger?
This game that we just played.
Yes. Like,
Yeah,
what would you say? What is the state of the world when we finish this game?
The same. I don't know. They destroyed Sector 7, and that's and Sephiroth is still out there.
Okay,
That's
so you think Sephiroth lived, and
yeah, he definitely lives.
we're
I think
very
Cloud says that he's still out there,
Yeah.
like at the end. Or
and
whatever.
we're very concerned about whatever it is he's doing. Like, if someone
Yes.
asked me to give a summary of this game's plot, I would have no fucking idea what to say. I would be left like giving a recount of everything I did in the game, and they would be like, "That like what? You're just saying things that you did. Like not like there is no plot, right? Like
Yes.
what is
I'm
the
100%
script to this
with you.
game? If I read that, I would
The
be like,
story is not there enough. It's too luxuriant. Like so many parts of this game, in people already knowing what happens, which is like, okay, maybe there's a point that where it's fair. This is a hugely famous game. Frankly, I'm surprised you don't know some of the major spoilers.
what is a
that
spoiler for this
happen.
game? What's a spoiler? Like, what
I-
would you not be
okay.
able to tell someone that would like is a plot point that they wouldn't want to know ahead of time? Like,
Are you
the-
asking for the spoiler to happen to you now because it's like the most one.
okay,
the
so
very-
it has not happened yet.
It didn't happen in this game, and I was waiting for it at all times, but it never
No,
got
then
around to it.
then no, I don't want to know it. But
Okay.
like,
all right.
if someone was like, "Yo, man, don't spoil Final Fantasy VII Remake for me," I would be like, I don't think I could say anything. Like, the characters from the original, I think, are in the game. I'm pretty sure the same
can't think of
deaths
any-
happen. Like, and only one of them. Like, Jesse's the only
I can
character.
actually think of ready for this? I just realized I have a fun, unique circumstance I can put you in. Okay, do you remember when I think Reno and Rude fought Cloud and Co.
The
on top of
best
reactor?
characters in the game. Go on.
Yes, and they dropped the plate, and they had to get out of there. Everyone, and they I think they zip tied down or what, hang glided down.
Except
from
Fox
the
like
top.
fell down. I don't. He like was on his sword, just kind of like.
Yes.
Yeah. Go
yes.
ahead.
But do you remember after that there was this kind of chaos, and you could see flaming Sector 7, and in front of it there was a scene where there's a balcony and a little cat, like a
Yes, I
humanoid
do. I
sized
do remember that, and I read
cat, like,
apparently.
oh,
Apparently, that's an important character from the game.
no. Yes, and that's the only appearance in the whole game. And
I was
didn't
like,
know,
"What
it sounds
is
like
this?"
You looked it up, but I was like, who are you gonna even think that is? You're not gonna.
No,
know.
I didn't even look it up. I just read some random Reddit comment that mentioned it, and I was like, "Oh, apparently
Yes,
that was a person, and not like when they showed
Yes.
that duck character in Guardians of the Galaxy. Like that's what it felt like to me.
Yeah,
I was
Howard
like,
the Duck.
yeah, I was like, this means nothing.
Well, random Redditor ruined my moment then because I thought you were gonna be like, "Who was that?"
I
But yeah,
was.
I think he's like Red 13, like a playable character, all this stuff.
Yeah, I was interested in who it was until they introduced like 7 more characters at the end of the game that actually took part in the game, and then were gone
Yes.
forever.
So I think we are probably agreed that the story is not good. It sounds like you really don't like how much the story doesn't stand up on its own, and I totally agree with you.
Well, the thing is, it
my-
had moments, right? Like, I think I enjoyed the interactions between some of the characters. I liked the moment with Roche, the motorcycle guy, the first fight with Rude, the first fight with Reno. Like, anytime someone was allowed to show personality, I enjoy it. And I think
Yeah.
characters fall into this. We don't have a separate section for the characters, but like, I really liked pretty much all the characters. I was sad when Jesse and
did
Biggs
too.
died, and Biggs
were
did
very
not die,
distinct.
apparently.
Did they
But
die? Yeah. Holy shit! What a cheap punch to pull. They're sitting there in the tower. Oh, I'll see you later, Cloud. You're looking at and wondering if they're dead or not because there's no blood because blood's not allowed in this game. And Cloud pieces out. Okay, hope they're fine. Don't know.
yeah,
Later on, he tells Barrett, "I saw them. They looked pretty bad." We as players still, are they dead? Who knows? Later on, Biggs alive in bed at a Walmart. What?
sure
How-
seems like did anyone
how
pick him up
ambiguous.
off of the plate before it like crashed into a million pieces and exploded.
I fully expect this next game to start and Jesse's totally fine, and they just didn't even like.
I mean, I was sad. Like playing with my little group of ragtag eco terrorists was my favorite part of this game. So
Yeah, it reminds me of when I think I've talked to you about this before, but it reminds me of when we were kids and I would watch, you know, cartoons, and especially on 4kids.tv was famous for their weird censorship of kind of more intense and adult story moments. I don't know why, because they thought kids couldn't handle those values or something, but they would never let anyone say the word die. They would always say, "We'll destroy you," and they would never show guns, and they would censor Sanji's cigarette for his lollipop and stuff, and they would never show blood. Never, ever, ever. They would always show black oil or whatever leaking out of him. I don't
like
know.
Rudy
And
Giuliani.
it's such, it feels disrespectful to the viewer or the player, and especially to me as a kid. I remember thinking, I'm not fucking stupid. I know that I know that people can die, and I understand the consequence of a giant blue eyes white dragon shooting you with a laser beam is probably not, you know, ow.
Pidgey fainted.
Yes, and that really got me, when especially Cloud's enormous fucking sword. The Buster Sword is the size of him. There is no way that he swings the thing at like 30 miles per hour horizontally and Reno just goes flying against the wall, you know?
Yeah.
In some games it's okay. In a game as extra as this, it's very visible.
Yeah, I get that. It didn't feel like I think the story wanted to be a lot darker than the game felt.
But we have clowned on the story a lot.
Well, no. I have one more question for you. I'm not
moving on. I wanted to comment on some of the good things about the story.
That's what I was going to ask you. I was going to say, what was your favorite part of the story? Because I think there were like highlights, as I said. Like anytime a new zany character got introduced, I fucking loved it. I was like, this feels like a fun world. This character is goofy. He's got his own style. He like all the bad guys fight differently. That's cool.
Yeah.
Like the fucking the bullets from the Shinra sun, like that was fucking like flip a coin and fucking shoot them at me. Like I was like, this is so wild and so fun and has nothing to do with what I've been doing, but it's still cool.
maybe my favorite thing about especially Final Fantasy VII, I think, and just Square Enix in general, is their incredible cinematic flair for these fight scenes, and it's the definition of over the top, and you've like left realism, but you can't even see it behind you. And the moment Patrick is referring to that I love is Rufus Shinra flipping 2 coins and backflipping and firing bullets at the coins such that they ignite, turn into perfectly guided lasers at Cloud, and it becomes a crazy attack. It was so cool. My God.
It was so cool.
And you can probably see, I'm so glad we watched that Advent Children clip now. You can see how similar that is to Cloud's 6 kind of Delta Omni Strike that he uses on Sephiroth. It's so cool. It makes no sense, and it just really sticks with you. And I wanted so much more of that, you know? And I know they can do it, but it felt so diluted so much at the time. And I hate to kind of clown on this game more, but at the story, but this is where we are. And I know they can do it, and they don't so much at the time, it seems to. This is more of a gameplay thing, but I wish that, I don't know, some of that cool stuff was...
No, I was going to say, it kind of translates more into the gameplay, because you'd have those sick introductions, and these people have such amazing moves and weapons, and then for the Rufus Shinra fight, I ended up just like cheesing him, because all of your moves don't stagger him, so I'm just like running away until I can blast him with my fire attack until I got my limit built up, and then I like
you have to
fucking and then I two-shot
him when he reloads, bro. You have to wait till he reloads.
Well, regardless,
and then
like it'd be this like
you just didn't know that. You were just like nothing was working.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like this super badass character, and I'm just like running around like blasting him with my fireball.
If you scan him, it says nothing is gonna stagger this guy except when he does one specific move.
I know. I did not figure it out, but I still beat his ass.
The game did not help you make it clear at all, though. Like, he does a reload animation, and it says reload over him, but then when you hit him, it doesn't give you the staggered, like, ka-ching thing. He just, like, stops moving for, like, a while. Like, you stagger, in quotes, and you can beat the shit out of him, but he doesn't get officially staggered or whatever. But this is gameplay. You asked me about the story.
Yeah. What was your favorite moment in this game?
Maybe I'm embarrassed about this, but my favorite part of the story is when you first arrive in the town and both fucking Tifa and Jesse are in love with you, and it becomes a shameless story about how every woman Cloud has ever met is in love with him, and he just does not know how to handle human interaction at all. I was cracking up. This game was so funny.
It was funny.
I truly did not expect that. Roche in the motorcycle was also probably tied for my favorite story moment.
He should have come back.
Did he not come? I thought he
No,
came
we
back at some
literally
point, but
never
maybe I'm
saw him
remembering
again.
that.
And I was so happy to meet him, and then just never.
He was truly hilarious. Naturally, maybe this is a gameplay moment as well, but we would be remiss if we did not arrive at the best part of the entire game, contest that Cloud enters into with the leader of Wall Market, whose name I cannot remember.
Well, he wasn't the leader of Wall Market. The leader was the gang leader, and you don't dance against Fatty Mc
the worst
curly hair.
character
I forget what his. I
Some
liked
of
him.
the characters were.
All right, let me go look up his name. I feel like we can't not say his
characters
name.
of the Final Fantasy VII series. Don't spoil yourself by accident, by the way.
Yeah, I definitely 100% am.
Let's see.
Oh my god.
There were some characters I did not like.
No. We have to go Don Cornette. We have to go through this list of characters because so many of them just showed up and were. I'm just looking at the list. I'm like, why were these characters in this game? You can't see, obviously, but yeah.
Can you share your screen or something? Characters.
I
I'm
can.
looking at a larger Wikipedia. Oh, okay. I found it. Google's.
Well, I just googled Final Fantasy VII Remake characters, and it has like a scrolly bar at the top.
Kate Sith, technically. There's your cat, bro. Vincent Valentine is not in this game. I don't know.
All right.
Yeah.
Can we talk about freaking Lord of the Ring elf Sang? Like, why was he in this game?
Sang.
Why is he in this game?
Specifically
to abduct Aerith?
So many of these answers are because he's in, like, they're
Or-
important in the larger game.
Or
and then they
Reeve
just
Twisty?
timely arrived before then. Let's talk about the characters who got. I don't know who that guy is.
Yeah, well, he's
I
in
don't
the
know if he had
game.
a real name. Let's talk about the characters that had a major part in the game. How about that?
Well, let me comment. So my favorite part, I've told you many times, is the entire Walmart segment because yes, the dance was the best part of the game without a doubt. There was nothing even like in the same realm. Maybe the fight against Roche, but the entire build up to that dance, the area of Walmart, Aerith is my favorite character in the game, so obviously I enjoyed that segment. But Walmart just like felt like the only location that I enjoyed being in, as far as like every other area was like gray or brown and just like
Wasteland zone.
horribly uninteresting. And Walmart like felt like it had personality and like there was actually people living in it rather than just like a slum. The other places felt like there were people living in it. They felt like slums, but like Sector 5 and Sector 7 were the same as far as I'm concerned.
It's a very slummy game for sure. Like you spend a lot of your time in these, broken down nowheres, and it's weird because I think about it. It was a kind of gross feeling for a lot of the game, and she's like, "Man, this nowhere slum."
Aerith's house is the second best location in the game.
Yes, and her gardens, and all that stuff. Let's see. I was just wondering because did it feel that way in the original, or did it have kind of a charming, more impactful environment when you were like walking?
Well, I think because the game eventually opens up into like the world, the slums have more of a contrast with other locations. Whereas this, it's like Slum 1, Slum 2, the slummy roads connecting the slums, the metal.
It's not there for no reason. Like they're trying to really emphasize that you're not part of the 1% if you live down here or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you ever did this, but you can like click in the game. Into the map, and then you can like click again, and it shows you a broader Midgar disc map, and made out of like wireframe, and it was so cool.
It was cool.
Totally useless from what I can tell, but very cool nonetheless. And that segues nicely into my next point, which is that Midgar is awesome. It's such a cool world. Like this disc, I don't know, is there anything else? Is it just a giant wasteland planet outside of this? That one does not think so, because we end up in a canyon in the end of the game, like Mesa Verde or whatever, and most of it happens. Go ahead.
How cool was the like visual history of Midgar?
It was so cool.
When you're in like the science museum and you're like, this is amazing. Like this is the coolest cinematic in the whole game. I'm like being flooded with this fantastical world that this game has no part in. Like, I get none of this. I can go back and keep smacking robots with my giant sword. Like, that's what this game is.
It's what I keep coming back to. Like, they're so good at these giant cinematic moments, and it's kind of controversial for Final Fantasy games in general with people. I think like people don't like cutscenes, and Square Enix is known for putting in cutscenes in these games that are very vibrant and kind of huge, but you can't play while the cutscene is running or whatever. And I think in the original, I'm guessing a lot of this, but I think in the original it had a lot of situations where you would like have your save, and then you'd have to watch the cutscene, and then you fight the boss, and if you die, you watch the cutscene over and over. I think this is one of the original, like, you have to do all that shit. And we didn't have to do that in this one, so I know they made that quality of life improvement at least. You could skip the cutscene. Welcome to 2007, Square Enix.
Can we talk about how? Well, no, I'll save that for the art section because there's a very different quality between the lip syncing and the cutscenes and the lip syncing in game. But
I did not notice.
oh
Please
my
explain.
god, how did you not? No, we'll talk about it in the art section because that falls under animation. I'm trying to think if there's any other main story. Oh, do you have any fucking clue what the point of the Dementors was? Why are they here? Why? Like,
Okay, I think
They-
they were the biggest added thing to the remake that was unpopular. I think. I'm not sure.
as far as so I read something and some musings were that they were a plot device used to help explain any differences plot wise between this game and the original. So if like a character lived who didn't normally live, or like Cloud ended up deciding to do something that he didn't decide to do in the original game, it's because they used the fates or whatever they were called to force him to do that. And that's kind of how they got around like any story changes that they wanted to implement. And I don't have that on
Can't
record,
sign off on that.
but that is
If,
what I read, and I would believe it because they were useless as far as someone who has not played the original go. I'm like,
If
what?
you are indeed correct about this, then that shit does not hold up, Square Enix. Like this, just make the original game. Goddamn. Just, like,
Or don't.
add a
Or
bunch
just
of
like
stuff
fucking
that you have
own
to
what you're doing.
justify by adding more weird stuff. Like,
Well, so the Red's whole thing is like, or I guess Red and Aerith were like, they make sure that fate happens like it's supposed to, and I'm sitting here reflecting on whenever they showed up, trying to think.
SMH my head.
Well, yeah, trying to figure out like what did they prevent or what did they force to make happen.
What did
and
they just like weirdly molested people?
Yeah, like
Always to my memory.
so they showed up when towards the beginning, like we leave our apartment.
They were bothering Aerith. They were just harassing Aerith, bro. They were just like beating the crap
Well,
out of
they
her
showed
in the
up when we
street.
fall into her flower bed when we fall off the second reactor and meet Aerith for the first time. They show up there when Reno comes in. I don't know why. Maybe to protect us from him. Unclear. They showed up towards the beginning when we were just trying to get to the bar. I don't know why. And
I think they were present in a lot of these like momentous moments, but they were not affecting the story in a few of these instances, I think. And you had to fight them.
Yeah, why?
Why
Why did we have to fight them?
Weird to fight.
Unpleasant.
In an already weird fighting game.
Yeah.
So we talked enough about story. Do you want to go to
I don't
gameplay?
know. Let's see.
Let us just return to any story moments that we.
Yeah, I'm gonna run through the plot and see if there's anything I missed. So, yeah, here's the whole game for you. We destroy the first reactor. Mission success. We come back. We go help Jessie see her dad who's dying for some reason to get bomb materials for the next hit.
Yes.
We try to destroy the next reactor and Bender prevents us and we get separated. We fall in, hang out with Aerith, fight Reno.
Bender I was like, Bender for a minute.
Yeah.
I don't watch Futurama.
John DiMaggio. We go do a bunch of horrible side quests with Aerith regarding children.
Yes, maybe my worst favorite part of the game. I struggled to get through fucking follow Aerith Dream Girl around. Go ahead.
Yeah, we go with Aerith back to our home. We see Tifa going to Wall Market. We go to Wall Market, best part of the game. Then we end up in the sewers. Awful. hate the sewers. Everyone hates the sewers. All my homies hate the sewers.
All my homies.
Yeah, we come out. Then we do that ghost segment, which I kind of enjoyed weirdly. Um,
Well, I wonder. I really want to know if the ghost segment was in the original game.
I doubt it. But I guess before we do the ghost segment, we learn from Don Corneo that Shinra's planning to blow up the plate over our slum. So we go through the ghost segment. We see helicopters going to the plate. We get to the plate. Jesse and Biggs die. Maybe we fight on the plate. Which I told you that fight was so anticlimactic for me because Rude's like flying around in his helicopter being a pain in the ass, and and I like had my limit, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna use this shit on Reno, and I had the limit that like launches me into the sky, and right as I like swipe up, I just explode the helicopter right above me. It was so funny.
I think that Eligor was indeed in original Final Fantasy VII.
Eligor is the ghost segment.
The horse boss at the end of the ghost.
Yeah. All right,
I don't know why he would be in there.
Plate falls. Chaos everywhere. Aerith helped Barrett's daughter go to safety. Aerith gets captured by super important man Sang. We reconvene back at Aerith's place. They give us like 1 million billion side quests that you did none of. I did all of them. They were not great.
Were any of them worth it? Can you tell me now?
Yeah, there was one where you go. Do you remember? Did you have a segment where you had to play as Barrett, just Barrett, and you're like looking for people? Was that after the plate fell?
Actually,
and you
I
fight
love
those.
that segment.
You like fight those weird mutated monsters.
Yeah. Then which I am just realizing now was not revisited.
No. Well, in the side quest, there was a side quest where you go back into that area and you fight like a giant dog thing that has been mutated. So that one was kind of cool. That was an interesting fight. It was kind of hard, but it was fun. Then we go over the wall. We ascend to the like broken bits of the plate. We get to Shinra HQ, Shinra HQ is a cool place. Like overall, I enjoyed the vibe of it and like the lighting, and it was a little weird that we're just like walking around as these obvious terrorists and there's just like business people hanging out, but you know, whatever.
I know, not a lot going on for Shinra security, I gotta say.
We go through the whole Shinra museum, then we do the shoujo segment, which is the worst part of the game. God, I hated that part.
The sewers, huh?
Oh my god. Well, and the underground path or expressway that you had to go over like 7 times if you ever wanted to travel between slums. It was just the switching and then the pressing the button to let people into place to go fight generic enemies. It was awful.
And you're split up the whole time.
And you don't even get to kill Shoujo. Like, what a waste of time. And he was so smarmy and cocky, and it was awful.
Yes, a true bad character moment, of which there were many, honestly. There were a lot of obnoxious characters to me in this game. And not like they were bad intentionally, although they were. But like Hojo was smarmy. President Shinra was like weirdly, stupidly, stereotypically evil, especially in that board meeting where he's like, "That is of no consequence," and it's like nobody fucking lives like this, dude. This is ridiculous. Well, Barrett, which Yahtzee said is,
I like Barrett,
an idea of a black man that fucking Square Enix has never met one before.
Yeah.
Who else? Who else is worth clowning on right now?
The only not Raccoon, the Breaking Bad voice actor.
Oh my god. Maybe the criminal offender of weird, annoying character traits in this game.
Yeah, what's his name?
I keep thinking his name is Chunk, but it's actually Wedge.
Wedge, yeah. I was like, why was Wedge the lone survivor of the people instead of Jesse or
Such a strange, intense focus on this very, very large man with a weirdly beautiful face, and who is the butt of a huge amount of fat humor the entire game.
Maybe he's supposed to be the American.
I guess so, but he's also placed in weird importance at numerous points in the game.
Yeah, right.
He survives when Jesse and Biggs fucking die, maybe.
Yeah.
And he's just occupies such a weird space, and his weird, annoying Badger actor voice the whole time.
Badger, right? Not Raccoon.
He exemplified a lot of the things that I didn't like about this game, in that, like, I guess I guess I can see what you guys are going for, but really I'm just listening to this guy talk a lot, and I want to play the game,
Yeah.
and yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We're in Shinra HQ. We fight Rufus for some reason. Not sure why he wants to fight us. And we also fought. No, did we fight? There were like 5 bosses in that section, and then you fight the robot after beating Rufus, but you're stuck with just Aerith and Barrett. That was the worst. That made me so mad. I was like trying.
Bosses.
I was like trying to go to
Bosses, bro. Where
sleep.
do I begin?
All right, well, we beat that. We get out of Shinra HQ. We're on motors. Coolest cutscene. Cloud shows up on his motorcycle and is like ramming Shinra soldiers in the face with his back tire. I enjoyed that. Then
That was a cool cutscene.
then we ride our motorcycles away and we fight another robot car. And then we look back and like the shades have consumed Shinra HQ for some reason. Sephiroth is here now. I don't notice how I didn't mention his name a single time up until this point
Sephiroth is here now.
because we
You didn't mention
literally
what until this time?
I didn't mention Sephiroth because he played no part in the plot up until the end when we are fighting him
You're
in
correct.
the alternate world. Oh, wait, whoa, I completely glossed over the like first boss in Shinra HQ where you fight the like slime monster with its tentacles where you like think you're fighting Sephiroth, but really it's like a tentacle monster. Do you remember this?
That was the first fight?
Yeah.
You mean the thing that looked like Cthulhu?
Yeah, because that's what kills the Shinra president. Or Sephiroth kills him with his like shadow sword, and then you go fight the tentacle monster, and then you fight Rufus, and then you fight the robot.
I regret to inform you that I am confused because of the multiple tentacle monsters that existed in this part of the game.
Well,
There's one that Hojo unleashes on you in his lab. There's
not that one.
That is kind of a towering, tentacles come out of the ground, a literal tentacle monster.
Yeah,
Is that what you're
literal
describing?
tentacle monster where you
Okay.
had to kill the tentacles in order to damage the body.
Yeah, the Genova Dreamweaver. I remember because it had Genova's name. And
Whatever,
it didn't explain Genova at all.
whatever. Sephiroth had some hand in creating this hentai monster. I don't know. You had to fight him, then you had to fight Rufus, then you had to fight a robot, then you go on your motorcycle, and then you go into the portal.
Comment that we could talk about bosses all day too, but this game has a very long track record of offenses of you fight a boss really hard and then at the last second someone else comes in and kills it or whatever, or you don't get to kill them and like your work gets taken away from you, like Sephiroth killing the Dreamweaver or whatever you just said after all your work.
Did that happen? I have no recollection of that.
I don't honestly recall it either. I thought that Sephiroth showed up at the last second.
All right, I think that's a fair recap of the game. You go fight Sephiroth in Cloudland. It was cool, but it was random. And then we see Zack. Is that his name? What's
Zack Fair? Yes.
Yeah, we see our gay lover.
From a story component, we have to talk about this part for a second, actually, because of something you don't know that I must address for the content of this. In the original game, Zack fights that horde of the Shinra attackers and dies.
What?
He gets killed by this onslaught of things trying to protect Cloud, I think, with the Buster Sword. And in this game, they do a flashback where he's like, "Huh, that was all of them?" And I guess he's alive or something.
Yeah, Cloud was like helping carry him back to Midgar.
I saw some angry comments about this online, and I was like, yeah, what give? Because as I told you in Crisis Core, like the whole game goes, you play as Zack, and then the game ends at the end. You literally have to fight this never-ending onslaught of like basic Shinra soldiers, and you die eventually. You can't beat them. You run out of magic and health, and you die. And that's the end of the game. And I thought it was so cool. And to come from that into this game where he's like, wow, that was so easy. I didn't even know this happened. They are taking some liberties, and I have no idea why they would choose to change that beat.
I don't know. That's really interesting. Maybe they plan to use him in the next chapter, which
Zack
would be weird.
Supposed to be a tragic character that mentored Cloud and kind of addressed that in these hinting little illusions, these flashbacks that Cloud really needs to go see get a CT scan or something. But that's what he's supposed to be, and it takes away a lot of that if he actually survived and he's just chilling in Tifa's bar this whole time or something.
All right, last question, and then we can move on because we've given a lot of thoughts on this beautiful story. Who is your favorite character?
Who's my favorite character? Oh boy, that's despite all of the problems, this is still a fun topic to talk about. Like I really like Final Fantasy games and Square Enix, and I like Final Fantasy VII too. It was the pioneer for so many of these things.
I mean, the
Who is my
characters are
favorite
the best
character? The
card.
hard question to answer.
The characters are
Uh,
the stars of this, right? Like as
I
shitty as
think it's just I think it's just Cloud straight up, honestly. He's so cool. I just think he's neat. He got big sword. Look at he's got bicep even though he weighs 90 pounds. Look
did
at
did
his
you
hair. How does he do that?
did you use the Buster Sword the whole game?
No, I kept changing around, but I wished I was using the Buster Sword the whole game.
Yeah, I was using the like magic-y one at the end that looks like super lame but has
Yeah,
like
I did too,
4
that guy.
materia slots.
Yeah, I think I spent a lot of time with the cross-looking sword that did the triple strike or whatever. You know the one. I
Yeah,
think it's
yeah,
just Iron Sword or whatever.
Yeah.
But in retrospect, I wish I had used the Buster Sword the entire game because it would not have made a difference, and it is cool.
Yeah, I
Who's your
definitely
favorite character?
Aerith.
Aerith.
She's like the only reason Cloud ever like shows any sort of fun, right? Like she's the one who gets through to him, and
Yes.
I loved the whole segment where she was like trying to get him to high five, and like when she's cheering him
Trying to get
on
him to
while
what?
high five
Oh yeah.
in the underground expressway, like just she's just so fun and like clearly making fun of Cloud's mopiness the whole time, and I was like, this is exactly how I feel. I would be giving this
Yeah.
man a hard time too.
I think Tifa has a nice little connection to Cloud too. I think that he expresses emotion with her too. One of my favorite parts in the game is when he gets back after the first job to the bar. And he's like, "Okay, I'm ready to get paid," and she's like, "Great, but first we have to do all this stuff." And then she starts telling him all the stuff they have to do, and he's like, I was laughing my ass off. He was groaning at her like the whole time, and it was like such a weird character-filled moment for him.
Wait, do you remember Cloud's neighbor at the apartments, the like weird hooded man who shows up at the end of the game?
Yeah, the guy who's actually turns out he's the Genova Dreamweaver or whatever. Yeah, I
What?
remember.
God, I have so many issues with this.
Oh, he also appeared. He also appeared at Aerith's house or whatever. Remember, the kids were like, "Hey, we found this hobo. Do you do you know him?" Yes, I do. He's my neighbor, and he's a monster.
Wow, what a story.
Why do you ask, my friend?
Oh, I just like things just like arrive in my mind as I'm reflecting on this game, and I'm just like, I don't know why that was there. And as I think if I have any sort of like summation of this plot, it's the fact that I cannot tell you like how it ended. I have no
You know,
idea.
Talking about all this stuff and laughing at it makes me wonder if anyone ever listens to us talking about this. Will their reaction be like, "Yeah, you're right, it was all over the place," or will it be like, "No, actually, you have to do all the quests, and you have to know
I
that
did.
they have this connect."
I
this
did
stuff,
all
you know?
of the quests. I did everything you can do in this game, and I have no fucking clue how this
You
game
need the rest
ended.
of the game. You need the second 2/3
I
of it to
definitely
put it together.
need.
Well, maybe they should have published it with the second 2/3.
I need a
You know?
prequel that focuses on Sephiroth. I need to have any idea what he's trying to do.
That is literally what Crisis Core is. You play with Sephiroth as a good guy, like.
Oh my
for a
god,
lot of
that
the
sounds
game.
way more interesting than whatever
It was
I was
so
doing.
interesting. I just wish this game was Crisis Core the whole time. I was
Yeah,
playing
see,
it.
clearly. All right. Well, let's transition to gameplay, which I know you also have a lot of positive feelings about because they kind of go hand in hand, I guess.
Yeah.
But overall,
I have a way I would like
did
to
you?
start this,
Yeah,
if
okay.
that's
Go.
okay with
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Can we? Maybe we'll need to find out right now. But can we figure out exactly the literal gameplay differences between the original and this one? I'm unclear. And-
The original, the combat is like turn-based
Yes.
JRPG combat.
Did they add the actions bar? Is that a new thing, or was that always
I
there?
believe that is new.
Okay, was the stunning and staggering stuff
That had to have been new, right?
both in terms of like the stagger bar and in terms of people just fucking knocking you over when you're doing stuff? Was that all new, or okay? I'm looking at.
I have no idea if you can be CC'd in the original because obviously CC is gonna feel way.
CC'd.
That's
You mean
gonna,
like messed up your?
like you're sleeping or you're shocked or you're poisoned or you can't move for whatever fucking reason. It's gonna feel so much worse in this game because so much of it is based on moving. And so, like in Pokemon, if one of your Pokemon gets put to sleep or whatever, you're like, all right, whatever, I'll use my other one. I'm pretty sure if there's anything like that in the original, you could like you got to attack with each of your people every turn, as far as I understand it. But like having to just abandon one of my characters in this game because they got stunned was so frustrating.
There is a lot of abandonment in this game in terms of gameplay, which is I realize is kind of an abstract thing to say, but okay, so your ATB bar fills, and you go to use it, and if you get interrupted, see ya,
Oh
ATB
my
bar,
God, yeah.
gone forever.
Oh my
Tough
God.
titties, start over. To continue,
Yeah, hope you're not
if you
casting one of your 20 MP spells when you get like touched.
maybe the most infuriating part of this game for me is fighting a boss, and you work to fill their stagger bar. You got to fill that fucker because that's how you beat them. And you do what you need to do. You spend all your MP or whatever getting the right spells and knocking it up in kind of quarters up to the stagger, and then you stagger them, and then right away it goes to a cutscene where the boss does something different to you and erases your stagger progress.
Did that happen to you?
Unbelievable. It happened to me over and over. And I was just out of mana and all this stuff while the Abzu flooded me again whenever I got it too hot or whatever.
Oh my God.
It even happened in easy mode. Like, there's no way to evade some of these cutscenes that rob you of what you planned. And it was infuriating.
That's too funny. That didn't happen to me very much. I have so many complaints about the game or the gameplay, and that was not even part of it. I had sections of this game where I like felt like a badass and felt like the Coliseum in Walmart, because Walmart's the best section. That was the only time where I like truly felt like a badass and felt like I had a grasp on what the heck I was doing. It must have been like early enough that the enemies weren't really spongy, but like after I had gotten a grasp on how to like change my character a lot and fill my MP bar and like alternate using moves, all of like, but overall, man, like, how many times can I hack a stupid robot with my giant sword and like
incredibly repetitive.
The enemies in this game are just so awful.
That you do at the beginning, the same Shinra shooter dudes, except they have a air segue now, a helicopter thing.
I'm not sure that that one robot who like puts purple goo on the ground and then like makes an electric field that you can't walk through, and he just like traps you in a corner. God, it just wasn't fun. And I know you're supposed to like switch characters a lot, and I played a lot as Barrett and Aerith.
That doesn't matter for shit. It like helps you get a little less fucked, but it is not a solution so many of the times. The characters have specialized abilities. Barrett is ranged, Cloud is up in your face, like, and sometimes you just need the ranged guy to win, you know? Like, doesn't so
the
Barrett
second
gets stunned, enjoy, take a walk, you know? Like,
the boss in the second reactor, the like hover boss whose ammo you got to like fuck with during the whole mission, he would like flew away, and you have Tifa and you have Cloud and you have Barrett, and you can only attack it with Barrett.
Who are you gonna choose to play, bro?
It was so annoying.
The most hilarious taunting thing is you could still choose Tifa and she'll run at the bar or whatever and hit her head.
Can we agree that Tifa is useless in the whole fucking game? Like,
I actually like Tifa. I don't think
her moves are so lame.
Aerith is useless.
No, Aerith is overpowered. You were not using Aerith correctly.
I guess I probably was not. But Tifa, I thought Tifa was pretty powerful too. Like, I would sometimes use her instead of Cloud.
That is a positive note. If you actually had a different experience than me with characters, because Cloud was fun to play as, but like I used Barrett and Aerith a lot.
I used Barrett so much, bro. Barrett was just the answer for range, and I feel like they should have given more options for range at minimum, if among the many other things about this game. You said something about badass moments a minute ago, and I totally agree with you that I really didn't have that many moments in which I felt like what we watched in Advent Children or what we watched in like the history of Midgar. I didn't really feel that many moments where I was twirling with my sword and beating the crap out of everyone, although they were kind of there sporadically. But I weirdly did more after I switched it on to easy mode. And I feel weird saying this because, I mean, obviously I didn't get stunned and interrupted as much. My hits meant more, and it really felt like I was an invincible soldier clearing these people out of the way as they kept going.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a weird feeling, you know? It felt much better. And I don't know what that says about me, that maybe I just need there to be no challenge to enjoy this particular style of game or something.
Yeah.
But it just really, I think it's more that it's just set too hard, like at its default with the stunning specifically, and with the, I don't know, the weird range, and oh my lord, the camera.
I think
the camera.
As far as badass moments go, I would say anytime I got to use Cloud's limit attack amazing. Like I just wanted more of that shit. And I know it's lame cutscene like
Oh, yeah.
badassery, but holy shit did it feel good. And the same exact thing for
Yeah, his stance.
anytime I got to summon something.
I don't think it was lame.
Amazing. Summoning is amazing. And like
Yeah,
anytime
which
they
happened very, very little.
yeah, I still to this
Can
day
you change your limit?
yeah, I had a different limit than the one
I
you
just did
start with.
cross slash the whole game.
No. Oh, you missed out because the one I picked, you could change it with materia.
What was your limit? Where'd you get it?
It was like up slash.
I see. I had the limit changer, but
Cloud.
Cloud has his cross slash, and then he has another famous attack called Omni Slash. That looks like what you and I saw, like him zooming back and forth. But never happened to me. I never found an Omni Slash.
Let's see.
materia.
I'm gonna find.
Maybe
Oh,
it's
I had an Ascension.
limit change materia. What did that one do? I'll do a little video.
You should go watch
I'm just gonna.
You should go watch a video of that one because that's the only reason I destroyed the helicopter using my limit ones. But
I just want to see if there's every limit break in Final Fantasy Remake. I'm just gonna kind of leave.
every time like one of your summoned monsters like the summon bar ran out and they used like their final smash or whatever, that was so cool. And like what determined when I get to use a summon or not? Was it just like because it wasn't always only during bosses, it had to be like I don't, it was clearly predefined and that made me sad. Like I want to use my fucking fire monster against this random mob of Shinra soldiers. They deserve it, and that was taken from me.
The summons are historically like a very
Ifrit?
cool part of.
Was Ifrit the fire
Final
one?
Fantasy VII game. Yeah, Ifrit was the fire one. And the summons are consistent across Final Fantasy games. Weirdly, like Final Fantasy Tactics has all those same summons, Ifrit and Bahamut and stuff. And it's always so cool, and it's so weird to me that they limit you to not be able to do that in this game. I don't. Maybe it's probably the way it was in the original, honestly.
Did you want more or less customization? Like, how did you feel about weapon upgrades, materia, the different weapons you could find? Like, overall, did you enjoy that?
Well, I'm gonna estimate that this is one of the areas that was very close to the original game.
No, I'm pretty sure materia is new.
Materia?
Yeah.
Using materia?
I'm pretty sure putting materia in weapons is new.
Slotting materia in. See, this is what I wanted to talk about, was everything different from the original. Materia, at least, is I know that you need it for spells. Like, it is a pretty important part of Final Fantasy VII and the lore and the game and stuff.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe you can use the materia without slotting it in weapons or something, but I think that you probably
like. Do you enjoy do you enjoy the materia system and like how it controls what spells you have?
I kind of did, but I felt like I never had enough materia. Kind of weird. I didn't feel like I had the right kinds.
I never had the right weaknesses.
Yeah, I never had it beforehand, but I'm okay with like changing it out and trying again, I guess. But there was a lot of things like, I don't know, the connected slots, right? There were some that would synergize or add this to your weapon, and I was like, oh, cool. Good thing I have one of them, and I have like 20 connected slots across all my characters.
So the way you get the connected ones, right, is by upgrading your weapon, and there's an upgrade that would it's like will either add a new materia slot or connect to existing ones, but you can't pick which. That made me so mad. I was like, I just want to give my sword fire abilities, and it added a new slot instead, and I'm just like, this is the worst.
It could be a little overwhelming going in and reviewing all of the kind of options and choosing stuff, but I will say only because the menu is so weird and slow. Like when you're there and you have to like
time to go into the
like,
time to go into the universe weapon upgrade system.
Yeah.
It's just like
I don't know this, but I kind of know in my heart that is a screenshot from the original game. Like that is the menu that they use or whatever. Zooming into that, it's gotta be.
It's like cool but clunky, and the upgrades weren't varied enough that I felt like it was worth the clunkiness, right? Like
there was never like a real clutch upgrade. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
no, it was like cool, really more damage. I just like Cloud got all the extra damage, Aerith got all the extra spell, Barrett gets the extra health. Like that was it.
Yeah. All right, gameplay. I want to talk a little bit more about stunning because I didn't really feel like it's terrible. Like just totally unfair.
Yeah.
Wow, am I bad?
I don't know. I don't know. I think you like inevitably end up in situations in fights where you're just like switching between characters, like sending health to the character you just switched from in like a chain of healing slash de-stunning, and like
And you're-
like someone dies and then I use a Phoenix down, and then now that person who just got rezzed has to Phoenix down the
Someone
other two
dies.
people.
If you have one character left and there are two enemies, game over. You know,
Yeah.
0% chance of anything succeeding.
How did
All
you
of your attack animations are so slow.
how
It's
did
like
you
2 times
yeah.
the enemy.
Well, and forget about dodging anything. It is not possible to dodge.
Dodge.
It is the most useless button. Like,
Why
you
even exist?
move faster by just running. Like, if you're trying to avoid a projectile attack, if you press the dodge button, you will get hit. There is
The sh-
nothing you can do about it.
Shielding, technically speaking, does do something. It reduces the damage you take, but does not make it obvious whatsoever. I think it has a little
Well,
reduced thing.
and the only time I used blocking in the whole game is the first fight with Reno, because you have to use it to like parry his stupid electric attack. That was
Oh,
the
you
only time.
Reno styled on me for a few tries because he's just so bad.
It made me
And
so mad that you could not
honestly,
dodge.
he got me because what he did was he set up these 3 floating perimeters of electricity that if you touch any of them, you die, and the camera is swirling like a tornado whenever you try and move around. Remember,
Yeah.
which so glad I remembered because the camera is terrible in this game. It never focusing, forget about it. Lock on looks the same as not locked on, and you manipulate it by hitting left and right on your keypad, which you forget is you forget whether the left and right is change characters or change who you are currently locked on to target.
How often did you use one of your moves only for the enemy to be like 2 inches to the right and it just not hit them at all?
That happened. That definitely happened to
Like
me as well.
Cloud's like doing his fucking front flip with his sword, and like the enemy's
I
like
am
3
well
feet.
known for unleashing Tifa's somersault, and it just ends up being a
Oh
cool
my god,
gymnastics
she has
where
she
she
has
clotheslines the ground.
her limit
And
is the most useless thing for anyone who can move.
because the hitbox is so small, that's why it's good if you can connect it, but
I
like
guess
impossible.
God.
Like she just does a cool flip.
And it can happen with limits too. Like you lock onto
I
them and they
know.
move, and Cloud's like doing
Rob,
his ceremonial dance
robbery.
over in the corner by himself. And
I just don't understand, man. I don't understand. So there are so many. It's a long list of things that this game made so punishing to the player. There is no like opportunity for forgiveness or like recouping your losses if you commit to a move in a fight.
yeah.
And why? Like,
How
what? I don't. Was the real original game really hard or something, or are they trying to kind of keep this feeling of danger
or do we
uh,
suck? Option C. I'm not convinced that we don't both just suck. I watched like a very short video of someone doing like one of the training simulation battles with Tifa, and he was just like styling on them, and I was like, I've never seen any of these moves in my life. Like, what am I doing wrong?
maybe we suck, but this is also a major release, and I think developers sort of have to play to the lowest common denominator for enjoyment of the combat in their game, which I'll call myself the lowest common denominator here. And if they don't, if they kind of put it above that, then that's okay. You can still do that for games like Hollow Knight and hard fucking games like Dark Souls games and like stuff like that. But if you're in one of those games, then you can't make your
Just
combat
dude,
so inaccessible.
just make the stuns dodgeable. God,
Make
Uh,
work the
how
dodge button.
it,
Like,
it made me pretty upset that items required a bar of whatever it was called, AP.
yeah,
And it's
just
like,
to run
oh,
in
you
circles
want to
and
heal you,
recharge.
but yeah, you better fucking sprint for your life, and then you have to like channel your potion. You got to stand here for 3 seconds and hope that you don't get hit. God, it was so annoying. Oh man,
And you're using the regular potion too to
yeah,
heal
there was
50
a fight over in the area near Aerith, and I don't know if you did this one, but you're fighting these like 3 scorpion poison dudes, and it was the worst fuck. Like they shoot like puddles of shit that you can't step in, and they stun you constantly, and it was so frustrating. I was like, why am I playing this? I am having no fun. And
We've talked a lot about the combat, but there are other things that I did enjoy weirdly. I don't know where this falls under, but I really enjoyed finding all of the music. Weird? I was every time I found a vending machine, I was like, "Oh, it's another song. It's mine."
I got all of
Yes.
them except for one. I did not
Oh,
get.
I didn't know. I didn't know how to check them, but I felt very proud of myself every time I found one.
I didn't get Barrett's theme, I think, which is track number 3. And like you can't like retrack to go get them. You have to like replay the level. And I was like, I am not doing this.
Yeah, I'm sure. Okay, this is another thing that weirdly sort of falls into gameplay, and I had talked about sort of before, but my God, selecting things in this game is infuriating. If Cloud is at a slightly different angle and you press triangle or whatever, tough shit. Nothing's gonna happen. You have to keep changing his angle slightly until you are directly facing the thing you are selecting, and I I really it just kind of subtly gets in the way, like little piles of twigs in your path,
How
and
about the fucking like God, not ladder. Ladders were annoying, but the one where you're like dangling
yes,
from the
ladders were
roof
very
when you had to like hang bars, right? Hand bar. What are
yeah,
they?
in the bars, and you're like trying to like you're doing the moving forward
It
animation,
was
but
like
your
you wanted to
elbow.
go 30 degree. You wanted to go 90-degree left, right? Not right. I
And
don't.
another thing that we can address that I think is one of the biggest criticisms of this game is how on the rails it is,
Yeah.
right? No about that. You can't really venture off into side places that aren't planned out explicitly for you. And that's, maybe okay, actually. Like, being on the rails for a single player game is
It would be
not.
fine with me if it was more interest if the like areas were more interesting, right? Like a game like Last
If
of
there
Us
was
and
more
Last of Us
challenge.
2 are very linear. They are largely guided tours of beautiful areas. This is that, but like through desert and through junkyards and through slums, and it's like
Yeah.
I understand why. Like you they couldn't force beautiful fields into this because the world is desolate and all the Mako has been harvested, but it doesn't change the fact that the game wasn't just like a joy to look. Like the game is beautiful, but like what am I
Yeah.
looking at? What am I going through? There's nothing interesting here except for Aerith's house.
Yeah. And her bitch mommy.
Yeah, her bitch mommy. Yeah, I'm trying to think. There weren't really any other like mini games. Like all of the
Oh, the mini games. I forgot about those. I played
well,
darts
I
for a minute.
I
Enjoyed
got
it.
the high score. I got the trophy for darts. Um,
Well, look at you. I think that was the only mini game. I played the squats mini game as well.
the motorcycle handle very. Oh no, I'm lying. I got the trophy for squats and for pull ups. And
Is this where they should have been spending their time though? At the same time, you know what I mean? It seems like a weird area to have a focused,
I
cool
spent
mini
like an
game.
hour and a half
A
doing
lot of other problems.
the
Oh,
second
really? Okay.
the second gym. Wait, so you did squats, then pull-ups must be the second one that's like a side quest, and I did it, and it took me. I had to walk away because I was so angry. It was impossibly hard compared to the first one, and it's the exact same mini game, right? Like the exact same pushing buttons in an order in a specific
Uh-huh.
time against the exact same three muscly dudes, and they just like dialed up the difficulty like 30%, and it was so annoying. I think
I
that the
guess I should
dance
go back.
I was the dancing mini game. Obviously, I needed more of just pushing buttons to music.
It's funny because that mini game is like not even a game practically when you think about it,
Oh,
but
it's not a
because
game.
of the context and the surrounding, it was hilarious and wonderful to play.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
just
why.
think there wasn't enough moments where like combat felt satisfying, and I don't know if
There's not
that.
a lot of payoff. That's the problem. There's not a lot of like small scale payoff that means more for the continuation of the game.
I think
Like new items, new weapons are
yeah,
attained arbitrarily from vendors. Like when
and
when
they
there
don't
are
change
miles.
that much, right? Like they
No,
don't
they're
they.
like
You can have more spells, or you do a little more damage. It doesn't like
Garrett's do in a way
yeah.
that makes him worse.
Yeah, I
He
used
gets
I used
a
his
wrecking
melee.
ball for
Yeah,
his
I used his melee for like one encounter, and I was like, never again. Get your gun back.
Yeah, and the others don't change that much. You're right. Aerith has like mithril stick versus other magic stick. If Arrow had like a swirling kind of Illidan Beyblade, I would be pretty. I would think that was cool. And I don't know why they're against something like that.
I think this game
Let
would
me
have.
show you a
I,
picture of the blades that I'm talking about, Patrick.
I
That I
think
wish they.
I think this game would have benefited a lot from something God of War uses, where like when you're about to defeat a boss, like this sweet quick time event cutscene kind of happens, where you like take down the boss with a series of sweet attacks that just require you to press timed attacks. Like I know in general, like that's not really gameplay, right? But it would have made taking down the bosses so much more satisfying if you got to like see this sick cutscene where Cloud is like dunking on this dude after you've been
Absolutely.
hacking on him for half an hour.
And as we've talked about, Square is so good at that stuff. Why? Why would they not put stuff like that in? Like even in, I think of Nier Automata has exactly what you're talking about, and there are these very satisfying acrobatic takedowns that are sort of quick timey at the end of a fight, but I don't mind them that much. They're so cool and they mean a lot, and this would be the perfect game for them
Yeah.
because these so bosses I think in Square Enix games are very cool. And I was really excited to see what this game had in store for us, and I was largely, I don't know, kind of disappointed. It was a lot of big robots.
It was a lot of big robots.
And I get that a lot of them are probably from the original game, but I think they've come pretty far. I thought Eligor was pretty cool. Sephiroth was, of course, amazing. I did kind of enjoy fighting the large Cthulhu monster. I can't really remember the rest of the bosses. Fuck Reno and Rude, both of them. Maybe this is just because I'm bad, but especially fighting Rude, I was like, oh my god. Rude was the capital example of someone who stuns you in the time it takes you to make any move, and all of your moves like don't work on him. And it was just annoying. I don't know.
No, I know what you're saying.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just bad.
I don't think so. I think the people who are
I wonder what it was like to fight these guys.
I just don't know, like, for someone who hasn't played the original, like, what did this game bring to the table that some other game's not doing infinitely better?
I just thought of something else. Okay, so I've already in the past hour gone on a diatribe about how they will not allow any blood, no death, no blood.
Yeah.
But profanity, forget about it. Suck a bag of dicks, main player. One of my favorite moments is Reno confronting Cloud again on top of the tower and saying, "Come and get it, bitch." He said, I was like, can't show blood though. So much personality.
I mean, yeah, all the like characters.
I
were
love Reno
fucking
as
great.
a character.
Yeah, Reno is so great.
It's
Rude.
nothing personal, bitch.
Rude is basically just God, what's the name of the actor? He plays like John Wick's nemesis in John Wick 2.
Oh yeah, Common.
Common. He's just
like,
Common.
black white guy, like half black, half white dude. It's logic that we're fighting with his shades that break pretty much every time you see him.
I love that he just pulls out another pair. That shit's
Him and
hilarious.
Barrett are shades bros.
Yeah, I don't.
So I was talking about bosses. I'm trying to. I can't find Fantasy VII bosses. I'm trying to remember if any of them. In terms of design, I talked.
Did you use
cool,
like any
art
items
design.
other than potions?
Yes, once or twice I did.
I like used
mostly when I was turned into a frog and I needed to get rid of it.
I used grenades like in the very first encounter with Shinra soldiers, and then never again. Like I have like these fucking bombs, right? Like you get like bombs that do like thousands of damage. I did not use a single one.
And they would put these items in a chest. Like the whole chest is the Celeris or whatever that you never use, and it's like, wow, good job, player. You really earned this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
The whole like
Crap,
looting.
I'm scrolling through the bosses to see if the Airbuster is a significant one because it really, really worked you up to that one with you like making you feel like you gotta decide which of these things go into it and which don't.
Yeah.
I don't remember any.
It was like
I guess
it was
you
like
never would have known,
bombs.
really,
it was like GPU
what-
or CPU chips, and then like one other thing. I don't know. I sure as fuck
Yeah.
didn't notice.
I don't really know how you would have like been able to tell. I guess how it was different.
Yeah,
The
unclear.
Hell House probably needs a special note. I think a lot of people hate this guy. I was okay with it.
Yeah, that one did not bother me at all. I don't know
He
why.
became very like colorfully icy or fiery, and I was just like, okay, cool, the other one, let's go. And I ran around in circles, and it was not fun, but it was not hard either. Had a lot of trouble with Abzu. I did enjoy fighting the ghoul in the train graveyard.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
That one did feel like a kind of a cool, and that was one of those moments I'm saying where I was like, wow, this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. Like, this is a cool design for this boss. Definitely one of the higher points of the game is going through that train graveyard. I
That
feel
was pretty cool.
failed experiment. Fuck that.
Fucking failed experiment.
Valkyrie, the giant robot. I had it on easy mode at this
You
point.
can go
so I
ahead
just
and
blasted it.
fade me on any of the robots. I hated fighting all robots in this game. It was so dumb.
Yes, it was pretty ice sleep as far as things go.
Yeah.
Darkstar and Rufus. So shout out to my boy Darkstar and Rufus. The Arsenal, casual little fucking.
Who's
thing you have to
Darkstar and
fight before going
Rufus?
on. Rufus Shinra is the guy in Darkstar.
Right. Darkstar. I was like, Rufus sounds like the dog name, and I remember Baby Shinra.
You're cutting in and out a little bit. My friend.
So are you.
Weird. Curious. I wonder if it's Discord. Anyway, I think we've talked enough about gameplay for now.
All right, let's hit on some sound direction.
Sound direction.
Well, let's just do art. Let's just do
yeah.
art. We've been going for about an hour and a half now. Let's just do art because I don't have like a ton to say about sound, but I have a good amount to say about like animation and sound, or art.
Sound and music, I think, right? Sound encompasses music
that's
too,
fair, and the music's
right?
amazing.
I'm gonna modify this Google Doc.
I have like, if I'm gonna tell people the good parts about this game, I think the music lived up to the hype. People regard Final Fantasy VII as like one of the games as far as music goes, and I went and listened to some of the originals to get a feel for how it differed, and they really upped a lot of the tracks. Like, it is a joy to listen to, like Aerith's theme and the victory tune that shows up every now and then. It was really fucking good. Like, I've listened to the music since then. It's worth remembering.
They have this lifelong composer. Here comes me butchering a Japanese name, Nobuo Uematsu, who has written like everything forever for Final Fantasy, and he's pretty well known. In terms of music, I liked it. I thought there were some moments that I was, really caught up in the music. I was like, wow, this is really cool. I go hard for Sephiroth's theme, as any respectable red-blooded American male does. Some of the music was pretty fucking annoying. It kind of like gave me a headache, actually. I'm trying to remember. There was one. I think it was the underground tunnels when you like the first and the second time.
Oh, I love the music in the underground or the underground expressway.
And the music where you fight the punks in there when they show up was definitely like, it felt like it was trying to unseat me and like just keep me on my toes or whatever. And I'm like, I'm trying to fight. So I feel like there is something to say.
I guess
for
voice
sound.
acting can be in sound, right?
Oh, that's a good point. Voice acting.
I'm trying to think if anyone like really sucked, other than fucking Wedge.
We're talking about Aerith's voice, not in a good or a bad way.
It was definitely stereotypical.
It was. I don't even know what it was. Like, it's. I don't even think of a black guy.
It was Mr. T, right? It was Mr. T.
Was it Mr. It was Mr. T, I guess. They were trying to sound, and I was like, why are you guys trying to make Mr. T? I mean, I guess you have this original character, and the closest approximation you can find to his 1995 sprite is Mr. T, but it was just a strange voice, and it kind of got in the way, especially for this guy who's supposed to love Marlene.
Yeah.
And care about
Marlene.
Exactly, and he swore so much, and he also makes a lot of violent threats.
I kind of love him.
No violence is allowed in this game.
I was definitely not on Team Barrett for the first third of the game, but by the end I was like, all right, you're my boy. Like, I'm here for you. I'll die for you.
It's interesting, especially this particular game. It really rides a lot on Barrett's performance. Tifa and Aerith, I thought were very, very good. Both of them very respectable. Aerith had this little bit of a too cutesy voice sometimes, but I thought she was great in general.
Yeah.
Cloud I thought was really good. Cloud's kind of a weird character, right? Because we talked about this, but he's pretty much Sasuke, the original progenitor of Sasuke. And he does experience character growth. And for that you need a really particular, I don't know, sort of a closed off, of course, edgy teenager sort of voice. And I really liked how the guy they had do it handled it, especially in comparison to the movie we just watched a minute ago.
I would agree. I think Cloud was strong. I think all the main characters were strong, really, except for Wedge. Um, no offense,
Yeah, Wedge.
no
Wedge
offense,
and
Badger.
Badger. Why did they? Do you think they sought out Badger for this, or
They,
did he seek him out? Probably.
I have no idea, but like,
I'm gonna Google this really quickly. It super took me out of it.
yeah, I don't know. I feel like it would have been a little grating even without knowing him from Breaking
I
Bad.
was just thinking that, like, it would really his signature raspy voice. Uh, okay, he is the voice of the character. I'm gonna Google Final Fantasy VII. I can do this another time. Anyway, it was weird.
It was
Biggs,
weird.
Jesse,
I thought they were
fine.
good.
John DiMaggio distracted me a little
It
bit.
really did. It did not like the animation did not match the voice. I did not buy that voice was coming out of that man.
Yes, I am of the opinion that studios should look away from major voice actors like this in some cases in which they have a very distinctive voice. I don't know, maybe someone can get too storied, too famous. Like, I personally, this is weird, but I heard the henchman character from Princess Mononoke, I think his name was Gonzo.
Oh, yeah.
The whole time he sounded exactly the same. It did. I mean, it sounded like you heard Bender.
No,
but
I
heard
was
this
just
guy.
he does not sound like he sounds much more like the character from Princess Mononoke than he does either Bender or Jake the dog from Adventure Time. Those are a little softer. Yeah. No, it sound now that
Yeah,
you
I think
mentioned
he
that,
should
he
go.
sounded exactly like the character from Princess Mononoke, and it definitely like none of the villains really stood out, including Sephiroth. I think the core four, if you will, of Tifa, Cloud, Aerith, and Barrett were the strongest parts, voice acting wise. I thought Red.
Sephiroth stood out to me, but that's because I had pre-existing, like,
Yeah,
I really wanted more of
you
Sephiroth.
already
And I
want to
didn't
have
pay
sex
more
with
attention.
Sephiroth, so
I mean, who doesn't?
I think Red was strong, even though he's a dumb character that shouldn't have been
I
in
did
this
actually
game.
really liked Red 13. I don't know why. I agree that it was silly to add him. But I liked his silky smooth voice.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like it was totally unnatural how he
No.
joined the group.
No, I think if we had like, I just think this game had too much bloat in the middle, and if the last third had been the middle third, and there was some sort of like final third that
Thy name is Final Fantasy VII.
yeah, there was too much nothingness happening in the middle, and there are all these cool characters they wanted to use, and for some reason they crammed them into the last 3 hours. I don't know why.
Yeah.
This game should have been 20 to 25 hours instead of 35.
It should have been 20 hours. I think it could.
Well, considering the original game has 2 more thirds and is 40 hours or something like that, like, I don't know what the fuck they did. I don't know why they did it this way, but they did.
The only way to find out where the specific bloat came in is to play the original as well, and I'm not about to undertake that discovery for humanity.
Nope.
I'm afraid.
Nope. All right, let's
You
talk
want to go on to art?
Yeah, let's do it. So, this game, I think we can say it's beautiful, right? Like, the textures are great, the character models are awesome, the colors are great. Overall, the game is beautiful, but when you like really look at it with a magnifying glass, like I said, outside of cutscenes, the lip sync is so fucking bad, and I think it has to be because this is like a Japanese game and they put American subtitles with the cutscenes and they didn't bother to reanimate because holy balls, like going it's just so
I have an eye for this. I don't know, unless it's really egregious. Like I don't know.
There's just such a huge difference between a cutscene that is rendered in the game engine and then a cutscene that was rendered for like cutscene purposes.
That they filmed, yes.
Yeah, so different. Oh god, it made me so sad. But
there are so many places that I find myself wondering about how Square Enix chooses to use their resources because they have so much money and they continue to make tons and tons, and they have, whenever we think like maybe they should have done it this way, like they can do it that way. They could have refilmed these cutscenes for and redubbed them with like, I don't think it would have been that hard. I know I'm probably speaking out of turn in terms of animation, but like that's what they wanted to do. They chose to include this many cutscenes in these games, and it's a corner cut to not redub it for like American.
Yeah, I don't know what the percentage of like game rendered cutscenes versus actual ones were, because the one like I got like engrossed in the actual ones. They were beautiful.
Yeah,
like
and
overall,
we're just talking about English too. Like that, I
yeah,
guess if they
overall,
went down this road, they would need to Go ahead.
This game is beautiful. The textures are amazing. Like anytime I got like up and close on a character in a cutscene, I was just like there was a cutscene at the end
Yeah.
where you're like looking at Barrett and he's like thinks he's gonna die because he got stabbed or whatever, and
Mhm.
I was like, you can like see his fucking the hairs on his skin and his pores and
Yeah.
his hair like looks real, and I was like, oh my god, like, and I was
Mhm.
playing on a PS5 by the way. You were playing on a PS4, so obviously yours was worse.
Right.
No offense.
Obviously, you're trash.
Obviously, but yeah, I don't even know that I have that much more to say. Like, they worked with the environments they had. I don't like that, but that's not the artist's fault because overall, this game was a joy to look at the whole
I
time.
think around 2000 to 2005 was when Final Fantasy really started coming into making these cutscenes that were very high fidelity and very like, and really split that line between coming close, looking like people, and also looking like anime, like having kind of slightly large eyes and Cloud's
yeah,
hair, of course.
pause,
All this
because
stuff.
that's a good note. Like, the main characters had the like anime eyes, and all the regular characters, like NPCs, were just normal humans, and that was so weird.
Noticed.
It
That's
really,
hilarious.
like, you're talking to like Joe Schmo in the slums, and he's like looks like us, and fucking and like weird, creepy anime looking dude is like, yes, I am clearly protagonist. I look different than you. I'm like,
At this point,
why not go
Cloud is
all
the
the way?
primary example, and he is definitely like where he's at right now is basically an anime character with human textures applied. Like his
Yeah.
skin is skin, and his hair is hair, and his clothes are kind of beautiful, rugged slum clothes with interesting designs. But nobody would look like this in real life,
Right, and it didn't bother
some
me.
people do.
It didn't bother me in game. I think it translates pretty well until you're like looking at him compared to like the Shinra employee on the train, and you're like, oh, you look like a normal dude.
Yes,
But like
of course,
overall,
we
it's
would
done
be
well.
we would be remiss if we didn't sort of remark on Tifa and her giant eyes at her ridiculous Bodon Honkaros that they chose to adapt from the original
Yeah.
PlayStation,
Yeah,
or whatever it is.
I
A huge departure from actual realism, but we forget about it when we're playing the game, right?
yeah. I need to jump back because you talk about the Tifa thing. It reminds me of like the fucking three-way romances going on in this game, and we didn't really talk about that in story or gameplay. And there are like a couple moments where you can like make choices that seem like they'll have any impact at all. It's like
I'm so glad you came back to this. I've never felt so robbed when I chose something
you're like,
exotic.
do I want to wake up Aerith first or do I want to wake up Tifa first? And I happen like the first time I woke up Tifa first, and then I died against the boss because that's the sewer boss that you hate. And then the second time I was like, all right, I'll wake up Aerith first, and literally nothing changed. No impact on anything in the world.
I was this close when Tifa said, "Let's go out on the town, and I'll wear something, and you choose." I was this is degenerate of me. I was this close to fucking. I chose something exotic, and I was this close to going back after nothing happened to my save state and trying again and going and doing side quests to see if I had missed something. This is
Yeah.
how depraved.
This
What a
is
horrific thing.
This is not a dating simulator. I don't even know why those
No.
choices exist.
But it's so like dances around the fucking. Especially the worst moment is Jessie throwing herself at you,
God, I love
throwing
Jessie.
her cat at you outside of her house. When you after you'd been like hanging out with her and leading her on all day, and Cloud's like, "I don't like girls, but I'll come around with you all day and do all your chores." And then at the end of the day, she's like, "Now do you want to fucking come inside?" And all your choices are, "No, I have to work in the morning," or something. And you say this game is not a dating simulator. I'm like, this is like abstinence-only education where they pretend, but actually everyone knows.
Everyone who becomes a Shinra soldier has to play this game and recognize that nothing they do matters, and you do not get to be with a girl ever.
Yeah,
Oh.
they just show them that early on. Okay, art, is that what we're talking about? I
Yeah, we're
can't
talking
remember.
about character design and
Let's talk about world design and kind of weapon and creature design, because that is one of the strongest parts of this game, I think, and in Final Fantasy games in general. I was thinking about this earlier, but Final Fantasy games are extra. They are so over the top, and you forget about like realism entirely, but it works. It's so cool to see Cloud like break up his sword and carry around this sword that he cannot possibly hold. Barrett has an arm on his gun. A gun on his arm. and they really lean into this, and it's so cool sometimes. I think Midgar is amazing. I think it's such a cool environment and setting, and you can tell that these artists worked so hard, both originally and now, on bringing this into a cohesive world that you can get dragged into. And it's just a shame that it feels like so let down by the rest of the parts of the game.
Yeah, I
The
mean,
combat and being so on the rails and stuff.
I definitely wanted to see more of the world. I don't have the same opinion about creature design and weapon design. I felt like none of it mattered. It didn't matter what my sword looked like, even if it looks cool. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
And
Well,
like
I'm
the
talking about
monsters you,
broader Final Fantasy, not this game.
yeah,
Maybe
well,
I
the
should, I don't know.
monsters you
Like,
fight in this game almost feel out of place. Like
they're terrible. Like all of them, they're just kind of these random
those little like
things,
electric
like
hedgehogs you fight when you're in air, like where the little kids are. Like, why do those exist? Is
unbelievable.
that normal? Like,
Patrick remembers, I was so excited to play this game, and after we started, I sent you the video of all of the summons from Crisis Core, and I
yeah.
remember being a kid and getting these cutscenes and these unbelievable, like Odin on his horse with 6 legs, and he like flames a sword out of his sleeve and he charges down, and it blew my mind as a kid, and I was expecting it. And I got a little electric hedgehog, the whole game. And it's kind of an unfair comparison because we did still have the
The
summons like
summons were
Ifrit
still dope.
there.
Let's
They
be
were they
clear,
were
except for all of the cuckoo, like
the chocobo.
the chocobos that fucking Barrett that I gave to Barrett, and it's just
But
like,
it's just weird, it's so inconsistent. Like spread it out. You have so much talent and ideas, and why is it so bad to bring in a little bit more into the lower creatures in the game?
yeah.
And maybe this is unfair. Maybe there are people that really love these like sewer
Oh
rats
my
and
god, the water
like
guys,
the blue goos, the floating eyeballs that would shoot water at you. Like,
the guys who would
how
spin around like Beyblades that you couldn't hit while they're doing that, and you just
how
have
is
to
this
fucking
inspired
wait.
creature design? Like, what is novel here? What is like,
It probably
and
works
then
better when you don't have to see them in the overworld. So when they're like mobs that attack you, like in Pokemon, it probably you're like, this is more normal.
then they do hit you with like Eligor, who is great, a giant Grim Reaper with wheels for legs and a horse out front and a clock on the side. And he runs through the sky and shoots lightning. Amazing, like.
Yeah.
But there's such a break between what they use for bosses and what they use for the lower
Well,
creatures
even
that you routinely encounter.
God, even some of the like the robots. God, the robot.
And the obsession with
I will never
robots,
get
I
over how
actually
much I
agree with
hate
you.
fighting against the like giant robots in the first 2 reactors as well as the one in Shinra HQ. I'm just like, this is so the
I actually
opposite of
remember.
fantasy. Whatever the opposite of fantasy is, right? Like this
I
is
actually had this
the
epiphany.
industrial revolution. I don't want to be
This
here.
this is definitely a clear aesthetic and a design choice for the game. It was this way in Crisis Core as well. They had honestly the cutter robots with the saws on their arms that
Yeah.
stalked around. Those literal things were in Crisis Core too, and there was definitely a lots of machines problem in that game. So it is just I don't know, a
It's
weird
just the
aesthetic
world.
obsession, and I think it's like Shinra, technology, rich, bad, electricity. It's kind of I don't know,
It's part of
maybe
the
it's
game,
played out
and
like the Seinfeld effect because it's 20 years old, 30 years old almost.
I think I have no like I didn't enjoy fighting them, and I think that's part of it. Is just like hacking these machines doesn't feel good or
use
satisfying. Like,
lightning, apply battery.
yeah, I guess that's what I should have been doing, and maybe I was just taking the wrong approach to this game, and it should have been more like Pokemon, where I was just finding their weaknesses and attacking them appropriately. But you're playing Final Fantasy VII. You want to be Cloud. You want to hack these motherfuckers with your sword, and
Yeah,
it just wasn't very fun. I don't know.
it really was split in between two major like. You're right. Maybe it could have been more like Pokemon, and you could like look to exploit their weakness. But you got a big fucking sword, so let's go use the sword. And then when you do, you get perma-stun. So
Yeah.
really, I think they should have just honestly, I think they should have just committed harder to the turn-based section of it, and
I think I
had
would have
maybe
enjoyed that
done
more.
what
Like
you
a
said, and,
beautiful
like, gone into
turn-based JRPG.
yeah, and like gone into cutscenes for like the final things, like you said, because that's what the original game was, and so many people would have devoured this if it was just a really high fidelity remake of the original.
Yeah.
They would have paid even more than 60 for it, I think. But maybe it's just this weird push for game developers to be doing new things. I don't know, and
Yeah.
yet also obsessed with remakes and sequels at the same time. It's a whole other conversation.
I
as
will
you
say
know.
I think this conversation makes it sound like I dislike the game, like I'm about to give it like a 5 out of 10 or something. Like there's a lot of good in this game. I had a lot of fun, and the characters were amazing, and there were points where the combat was satisfying. Overall, I was not like miserable except for a couple of sections, but
Mm,
it had so many things that I could poke holes in, and stuff that didn't quite reach the potential it was setting out to hit. And because of how long it was and how many times you had to do certain things, like those things really needed to hit if you weren't eventually going to become jaded and irritated at some of the mechanics. And so
yeah.
it
I
just
feel
missed the
like we've
mark.
entered into the overall portion, but
Yeah.
I feel as though this game is a product of an organization stuck in this middle ground that they're not really willing. Like for one thing, they could have just made a new game, right? Where they really need to kind of turn a profit and also try to do new things and also satisfy old fans and make a good story on top of all that. And this is just not the way to do it. Like they really just ended up in the middle of all of these things and put out this weird thing that I think was probably wildly successful, and they're gonna keep
Oh, it
doing
was,
with
and
each
the
game.
people who love the original seem to love this game. And I think the weirdest thing is when you're gonna make a remake, the reason you're using this game, right, is because people loved the story and the characters, and that is what is most memorable about the game. People like mechanics and gameplay have evolved so much, but people remember the story and fucking love it. And I feel like that is the worst part of this game. It
That
make
one got sharked. I think it got sharked really bad by this whole splitting up thing. Like
Yeah,
I don't see another way around it. That particularly got really screwed over
I
here.
know,
So
and I think it's just so interesting because, like, when you remake something, that should be the focal point. Is like, here's this story that people love, and we're going to retell it in a more beautiful world. And I'm left being like, what the fuck is going on? I have
yeah,
no clue. I have no nostalgia for the original, so I'm not going to give you a pass on weird pacing and characters being introduced for no reason because as far as I know, this isn't called chapter 1. I don't know there's going to be a chapter 2. I'm not sure I want to play a chapter 2. And
ironically, there were like 30 chapters in the fucking game.
yeah, and now I'm just left being like, this was not a complete package. I don't feel good about what happened at the end. I don't feel satisfied, and that sucks because people fucking love this story, and
I wonder.
I don't have the
Sometimes wonder
nostalgia
what
for it. I don't know what's going on. I know no more about this game than I knew before, other than the fact that these characters exist.
I wonder what children thought about this very game, and I wonder if they think about that enough when they put this together. Because how far would a kid have gotten? Would they've gotten bored? Would they've gotten too frustrated with all this stuff? And then I wonder, like, I don't know, am I underestimating kids too? Like, they
Yeah,
have a lot more resources than when I was a kid,
I don't
and
know.
um,
That's an
I
interesting
don't know,
question.
they can also be pretty dedicated. Like, are there a lot of kids out there that really love Cloud now? Because I'm sure there are no kids that love Cloud and Sephiroth because he was barely in this game, you know.
Right.
So it's and
This
of
was
course they
for
got
the
all
people who played the original. I don't like.
yeah, it was. And so why did they do all this? I
Yeah,
think there are
I don't know.
questions that we're not going to have answers to
I
right
don't know.
right now.
All right. Well,
Um,
let's try and put a number on this, and then we can talk about. Or I guess we did letter grades.
we're doing letters, weren't we?
Yeah. So
F is the lowest grade you can get, huh? And A plus is the
yeah, that's how letter
highest.
grades work. So what do you got? I know what I'm gonna give it.
Okay, let me just think for a minute. We gave Soma, you gave Soma a B plus, and I gave Soma a B.
Correct.
I'll try not to think about that too much as I think about this.
Very different games.
C minus.
C minus. That is not a surprising score to hear come out of your mouth. I'm gonna give it a C plus. There was a middle section of this game once you met Aerith up until really Hojo's lab, where I was like really into the game and really enjoying it. Um, and it may
What were your
have
favorite parts about that stretch? What did you really love, like?
the dynamic between Cloud and Aerith I think was the strongest of any two in the whole game. Like Tifa,
It was
obviously, like
heavy
they made it clear that
chemistry.
Cloud and Tifa had a history, but their interactions overall were just kind of like vanilla and boring, whereas Aerith and Cloud had a more interesting dynamic, in my
Yeah.
opinion. And Wall Market was my favorite section. I actually enjoyed the first trip in the Underground Expressway up like right before you go to Wall Market, because that was a lot of
really?
that was a lot of development for Cloud and Aerith. All of Wall Market was great, and then into the Ghost section and into the ascending the plate, all of that was like really strong to me, and I remember those parts well and fondly. But then immediately after that, you go into the like, here's the whole world opened up with the plate crash. Here's 9 shitty side missions. Go do them. Into
An interesting choice to throw in more
Shinra
side
HQ,
stuff,
and that
like
it just
random
all came down for me.
side
But I would give that middle section like B plus A minus. Like I was really enjoying
stuff.
it. But everything
I wish
around that was like C minus for me. So
I wish I could say the same. I think I stopped really enjoying this game after, I don't know, the first third of it. Where was the last time I was really like, honestly, by Wall Market and by that stuff, I had gotten into kind of like chore doing mode a little bit.
yeah.
The C I think of as like a, C is dead in the middle. C is an average, and this game was worse than that for me. I hate
Yeah.
like the problems were too great for me to press through them. When I think
Yeah.
about like when I really like electrically like a game, and I'm really challenged and impressed, it's not what I think of when I play this game, unfortunately. Although there were things to like.
Yeah. I think most of the positivity from my grade comes from things other than having fun, weirdly. Like there were moments where I had fun,
Things you appreciate.
but yeah, that's more of it as like a product. Whereas like I've been thinking about this a lot because I am thinking about having like a weekly monologue pod where I just talk about games and like, why do I want to do that? Why do I just want to talk about games? And a lot of it's because so much of discussion around video games right now is polarized, and you either have to hate something or love something, and people aren't
Yes.
focused very much on just like having fun. And I think you're very good at establishing whether or not you like a game based on that. I still find myself being influenced by like the quality of the product and not just whether or not I have fun, and I want to focus more on that, which is part of why I just want to like talk out my feelings on things more periodically.
When I said about like the times that I really have fun thinking of a game, it's funny that you mentioned that because I was thinking about Cyberpunk, and which is famously.
We're gonna have to do a podcast on that even if we haven't finished it, because I have obviously a lot of thoughts, and I was playing it today and I was just like, this game fucking rules, and I just want to talk about it.
Specifically, I was thinking about I don't know how to say this, but like the UI and the colors of the kind of UI and directional choices, and how it fleshes out every little menu you go into.
Uh-huh.
But I don't want to make this a cyberpunk thing. And I have a lot of fun just like looking at that stuff, and I never really had any moments like that in this game, like where
The fucking universe sword thing was weird. It felt out of place. Like the pause screen was what? Man, yeah.
What's the universe sword?
No, where you upgrade your weapons. You like
the sword universe. Yeah. Look at all these floating orbs. They're not materia.
Yeah. Well.
Okay. C plus is C minus.
C plus C minus.
Thanks, Final Fantasy VII. We hardly knew ye.
And now
a song that was never played in this game outside of Barrett singing it back.
Yeah. Now we move on to Firewatch as our December game. Something a little more digestible. Hopefully something...
Yes, we made a special election to play Firewatch. We're not doing our usual raffle for this one.
Correct.
I'm excited. I have never played this
I'm very
before.
excited. I think I'm going to finish it in like 2 or 3 sittings. So that'll be refreshing.
Anecdote. Co-founder of Firewatch recently came under fire for playing in Dota games as a pub because he works for Valve now, and banning people from the game that were like just trash talking him in all chat.
Oh no!
I'll try and find their Reddit for you, and they're like, "Fun fact: this guy made Firewatch."
That's hilarious. Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
This was a fun pod. I'm glad we finally got our thoughts out.
Me too. I've been had so many thoughts
I've been stewing on this for a long time.
I wake up screaming like Cloud in the middle of the night, and I'm like, no, the stun animation. He sees Sephiroth, and I see Barrett zoning out and getting bashed on in circles.
I had to like go over the plot every night before bed to make sure I didn't forget it because it was so fucking ridiculous. So it was fun. Yeah. Thanks for talking. I look forward to our talk about Firewatch in January.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, happy holidays, man. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Oh, thank you.
See you, dude.
Bye.